Hey, pizza lovers. Welcome along to Pellet for Pizza podcast. I'm Adamo.
And I am Stefan.
Welcome along to episode 2. Today we're going to be discussing customers, customer service, just behind the scenes of owning a pizzeria and restaurant. So, yeah, what are
Yeah,
we going
so
to...
this will be a fun one. Just before we get started, just a quick reminder to make sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. It's Palette for Pizza, so have a look out for that. And on every episode, we will also put down the social media links in the description as well. So I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, geez, I don't even know where to start, really.
No,
It's a touchy subject, you know.
it is
'Cause you don't want to come across like too, I don't know how to say.
unappreciative or anything like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. But basically, look, owning a restaurant, it's tough. You know, it's not easy.
yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't realize, and they think that you own a restaurant, so you're swimming in cash. But it's not like it's not always like that, and it's not really like that. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
Unless
Yeah. Well, not
probably
for
unless
everyone,
you,
but
not for everyone. Yeah, unless you've
yeah.
probably got like a chain of
Yeah, most of
pizzerias.
those guys, yeah, the big dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, the big dogs, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
definitely not one of the big dogs.
But we
um,
make pizzas like the big dogs, just yeah.
yeah, we're just not appreciated as much. So like, yeah, I think what customers don't see is what goes in behind the scenes and like what we put into doing what we do, the amount of effort and blood, sweat, and tears, basically
Yeah.
that we're putting into owning a restaurant, and it's not like most of the time. Look, 99% of the time, it's always appreciated by customers, but you
Yeah.
always get that small percentage where they just don't understand and don't get it,
Yeah.
and
And sometimes that's enough just to, put you in a little bit of a slump sometimes and,
oh, absolutely, yeah, it
um
does,
or just
it
put you in a
does,
bit of a mood or yeah.
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, like we should really look at it like, oh, it's only a small percentage, but I don't know, it's just
I think it also to cut you off there.
no, you're right.
I think also it's, when you do something for a living that you're so passionate about, when you experience others come back with no remorse and, things that are maybe out of your control, you can take it to heart very easily
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you know that it's not your intention to give anyone either a shit meal or a bad dining experience or, like you couldn't get to their table as fast as what they wanted you to or,
Yeah,
or a delivery driver forgot something. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and it
Um,
happens. It happens.
yeah, it's always unavoidable, but it's good
Well,
for
yeah,
this episode to see the side that we experience.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, we're only human and doing the best we can. Like, um, I know, like myself, I'm always wanting to impress every customer that comes in. But
Yeah, yeah,
in saying that, like, I know it's not achievable all the time. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You
yeah.
always you can't please everyone. Everyone has their
That's
own
right. Yeah.
taste, their own palate for pizza, so to
That's it,
speak.
yeah. Yeah,
You
I've
know what
always
I mean?
found that, back when we had the restaurant, that most of those times where we did get the bad feedback, I don't think we ever really got anything horrible. I'm sure there was bad times, but they probably just didn't mention it as much.
Yeah,
But the times there where we did know that we screwed up something and we were told about it, it was always on a really busy night.
yeah,
Because when you've got the tickets lined up in the moment, a lot of the time you're thinking, "Come on, just get it done, just get it done." You know what I mean? And things sometimes get mixed. Like they asked for a pizza that had no olives, and you put olives on it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And that's just enough to set them off. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Of
And
course.
they'll never see that side. A lot of them will see it as careless or things like that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, the thing that always ticked me off was when we made a mistake on a quiet night because that was
Yeah,
like that was just stupid. We
yeah.
shouldn't have
That should.
we shouldn't have
Yeah,
done that.
it shouldn't
You
have
know?
happened. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, that And that's right. There's nothing worse than that. You can sort of excuse it when it's a busy night, like a Friday, Saturday, and you're getting absolutely pumped and fucking smashed with a thousand dockets, and
Yeah,
you
and
just
just
try,
hope that they'll understand, you know.
yeah. I mean, look,
So
and generally they do. Like we're
yeah,
sort of lucky enough that we have customers that generally understand, but you do get some that just don't get it. You know what I mean? They walk
yeah,
in on a Friday night, no booking. We're absolutely chockers, and they expect to get a table, and then they crack it at the staff because they can't get a table. It's like, make a booking next time. Like it's a
yeah. That's
Friday
it.
night.
Yeah,
I mean, where can you go on a Friday or Saturday night and just walk into a restaurant and think you're going to get a table? If you're maybe two people, four people, yeah, you might be lucky. But when you're a group of 8 or 10, and we
yeah,
have that, we have had that before. You know, people walk in, there's 10 of them, they want a table on a Friday night, and
yeah,
you're like, dude, come on,
yeah.
all
That's it. Yeah,
prepared. I know
yeah, yeah,
people like to sometimes the spare of the moment want to go out, but yeah, it's harder on a weekend, and
yeah.
and
That's all right.
we've had customers before that, yeah, have cracked it because they can't get a table. Like, they've called up to book. Even might be a day before or 2 days before or that day, and you're like, I'm sorry, we're fully booked, and they're like,
Yeah,
oh, what, like as if how
yeah,
is that possible? You know what I mean? Well,
yeah,
it is because it's a weekend. You know what I mean? And
yeah. That's it.
that
Yeah,
that's one thing customers don't seem to get.
yeah,
And another thing that sort of makes me not angry, but it's annoying is when people don't book, right?
yeah,
And you don't know how much staff to put on, how much stuff to prep for the night,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then you end up getting smashed. And this is a good example of like what you sort of said before about something taking too long or whatever it is,
yeah,
or making mistakes, is because if we don't know how much to staff for or how much dough to make or whatever,
yeah,
when you don't have bookings and that, you don't know what to expect for that night, and you can either be
yeah,
quiet
yeah,
or you can get absolutely slaughtered. And when that happens, you're not prepared for it. You don't have
yeah,
enough staff on, so people will start complaining. I had to wait half an hour to get this, or I had to wait 45 minutes to get my food,
yeah, yeah,
or the waitress took too long to bring me my drink. And you're like, well, sorry, but we're just doing the best we can with the staff we have. Had we have known that
yeah,
60 people were going to come in the first seating,
yeah,
we would have put on four or five staff instead of two. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's important that customers try, if they know they want to go out, try and make a booking, because it just helps us so much more
Yeah, that's
in
it. Yeah, yeah,
preparing, you know what I mean? But then, look, you get some people that complain for waiting 10 minutes or 15
yeah.
minutes. It's not even that long.
You'll always get them every now and then.
Yeah, and
But
it's like, really? Like, it's not even that long, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah. You know
when you
that
wait,
like your
yeah,
regulars are always the ones that are understanding. I mentioned, in the last episode that the town that I had my restaurant in was a small town. So if you're from Victoria and you're familiar with Lansfield, you know it as like a more of a country town. But we had moments because we were the only Napolitana style pizza in the whole area. We
yeah,
attracted a lot of different towns. So it was always unpredictable, And the thing with, country towns is, for example, like, because they're such small towns, if there's an event on, like, say there's a football presentation, everyone's going to it. And then we're dead for the night. You know what I mean?
yep,
And
yep,
you've put on 9 staff when you probably could have had 4.
yep.
You know
Oh,
what I
man,
mean? And
how many
there's
times
nights like
that's happened?
that. Yeah, and then the next week you think, well, we way overdid it on the wages budget, so let's go a bit less this week. And then you just get absolutely slammed because
Yep,
there was a footy game, that was a night game, and there was a lot of tourists in the town because they were coming from other towns. And then,
yep,
they obviously looked up fast food or takeaway, and they've all come to us, or they've come to us at another shop,
yep.
and you just get absolutely slammed and you got less staff on. You know what I mean? No, no.
And
And I don't think, not to say that small towns are the only ones. Everyone has, their own little ways of why, it is the way it is.
yeah,
Um,
of
but
course.
yeah, like I guess the point of the episode is more just to, just talk about these things so that people listening can have an understanding of what we go through as well, not just make an opinion about something without seeing the other side of it, you know.
Yeah, well, that's right.
So yeah, so I guess we could probably maybe talk about a couple experiences that we've been through, to just kind
Yeah,
of keep a lighter laughing mood on it, something to look back on and have a
yeah, of
laugh at,
course.
but also have a serious aspect to it, so that people can be like, wow, that guy was a real asshole, like you know.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think if you want, I can start this one off.
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so this one, like, I can't help but laugh when I look back on it because it's so petty, But basically, obviously, I'm not going to mention names
Yeah, of
of the
course.
customer, but we had this one particular customer. Now, to understand our demographic, it's country town. You could assume very Australian based, so
Yep,
not a lot of understanding for Neapolitan pizza when we first came
yep,
in. So we were a very love-hate pizza shop. If you didn't like Napolitana, you hated us. You know what I mean? Because we were
yep,
seen as thin, we were tight asses on toppings. You know what I mean?
yep,
We
yep,
were more pricier because they didn't understand that we were using imported ham and imported prosciutto and things like that.
yep. Quality
And they were
ingredients.
used to their shredded fake ham in a bag. You know what I mean?
Yep,
Um,
yep,
but anyway, we came into the town and we priced basically the same as everyone. We didn't undercut anyone. And then we priced more for the gourmet pizzas, pizzas with pumpkin and pizzas with pancetta and, things like that.
yep,
Um, so I definitely think that we were priced fairly well for what we were and what we were giving. But anyway, getting back to this one particular guy, he obviously used to order from another pizza shop, and this pizza shop, conveyor belt style, pizza weighs 2.5 kilos. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Heavy on the toppings. All you can see is
yeah,
cheese, but they love it.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just
They love
load.
it, and that's
Yeah,
okay. Like, I'm not the one to say that it's a shit pizza. Like, it's not for me.
yep,
I don't. But there is many people out there that like that style. You know what I mean?
yeah, of
And
course.
that's where the good thing about pizza is you can appreciate different styles. But anyway, this guy, obviously, he tried us out and he must have loved our pizza, but he didn't like the fact that the dough was too thin, right? So he loved all the ingredients, he loved the texture of the dough, he loved the flavors, but he wanted more dough, if that makes sense,
Yeah,
right?
he wanted it.
Yeah. So when he first started ordering off us, we were using the Moretti iDeck oven. So it's a double
Yeah,
deck electric oven. You can easily control the temperature on it, right? So the first time he ordered, he called up and he said, "Look, is this the way the pizza's meant to be? It tastes great, but it's just, like, I feel like it's falling apart." And I said, "Look, you asked for a pizza with basically almost everything on our menu on it. That's not really the way it should be, but I did it because that's what you've asked for and you've paid for it. You've asked for double cheese and double mushrooms, and you have to understand that these release water and oils into the dough that can make it soggy and whatnot." I said, "Look, what I can do is next time you order, I can not put a crust on it, right?" So I said, if I flatten the dough out without making a border, it will make the middle thicker and it will probably hold up better. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So he did that. Then he ate it and he called back and he's like, "That was much better." He's like, "But can you actually make it thicker than that?" And I said, "Look, now you're kind of pushing the boundaries a bit." I said, "But because you've been coming back and you're giving honest feedback, that's fine. I'll do it." So I had to cut another dough ball and add it to the one. So we're talking,
yeah,
270 gram dough balls now become 310, 320, so it's quite a thick dough ball for a quick cook, right?
yeah,
So we had to turn the oven down to cook his pizza. You know what I mean? Now, most
yeah.
shops are
It's
not
hard.
going to alter their whole oven for one customer,
Yeah,
But I did it
yeah,
because we were new. We were only a month in, and I knew that towns talk, and I thought I have to do this because if I piss this guy off, or if I give him a raw pizza because it cooked too quick for the
yeah.
size of the dough ball, he's just
Yeah,
gonna let loose on me. You know what I mean? In small towns, when someone talks, everyone talks. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Um, and so we did it, and we did it for about a year and a half, right? And he was never really one to like he'd come in, he'd look down, he'd grab his pizza and he'd go. He'd never make conversation, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
But he was coming back, you know what I mean? So that was telling me, all right, he's here every week. We've got him, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Anyway, fast forward a year and a half later, when we moved into our new shop, we were using the wood-fired gas oven, right?
yeah.
Now, as you've got the same oven, you know, can't just drop the temperature on that oven
No, you can't.
because it's a brick oven. They're going to hold temperature really, really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, the first couple times he ordered, we did it. I had to hold down the fire. I had to basically turn the gas off and let the oven drop another 20 or so degrees, cook his pizza and move on. I quickly realized that, all right, enough's enough now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think, and I was also getting to that point that, you know, we're almost 2 years in, you know, like, I need to really tell this guy, like, what we're actually doing for his pizza, because he never knew what we'd do. You know what I mean? And he called up one day. Now, I was in a shit mood. Like, I was not having a good time this day at all, and it was really busy. And it was just in that time where the inflation started to hit. So we put up the prices $1 on all the pizzas, right? And a couple
Yeah.
dollars on some of the other pizzas that had a certain ingredient. Like, if it had buffalo, like we put that up a couple dollars because that price just skyrocketed.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, and then I brought in a new thing that if you want extra dough, I'm taking a dough ball from my pile. I need to charge you for it because I've now lost the pizza because I'm using that dough ball just to make
Yeah.
your pizza thicker. So
Yeah.
I brought in a $5 charge if you want a thicker base, because the reality is that, you know, if you want a thicker base, we're taking away from our potential earnings. You know what I mean? And if we've allocated what we think we might sell, I'm taking from that to give you a thicker pizza, you know?
Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
only that, it's also slowing our whole process down now because we're dropping the temp like it did from the start. It always slowed us down from the start. So whenever he ordered, I had to quote longer for everyone else after him
Yeah, of
until
course.
about maybe another 5 or 6 orders in because of the fact that, you know, we had to wait for the oven to regain the temperature. You know?
Yeah.
So anyway, had to, you know, obviously the girl on the phone, she took the order and she had to mention to, I said, look, mention it now because he may have not seen it on Facebook. You know what I mean? You can't assume that everyone's seen this new change on Facebook, right? Or on Instagram or whatever. So I said, look, just make sure you mention it to him because if he shows up and he sees a $5 charge on his bill, he's going to flip it. I know this guy too well. You know what I mean? She mentioned it to her. I said, look, if you don't feel comfortable, just pass the phone to me. I'll deal with it. You know what I mean? So she mentioned it to him and he just lost his shit at her. And the poor girl, you know, she was only 16 at the time. The poor girl, you know, had to deal with that. And she tried explaining to him and, you know, just said, you know, like it's a new thing that we've introduced and it's unfortunately with the inflation, you know, our flour's gone up, everything's going up. We need to account for this. And he did not want to have a bar of it. You know what I mean? Now he comes into the shop. I'm already in my pissed off mood and he's looking around and he's like, so who's the manager around here? I looked at him like, don't be a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you know that I'm running the show. Everyone else is teenagers. You know what I mean? Like, you know who it is. Just be like, hey, Stefan, like, you know me by my name. You know what I mean? And he's like, so who's the man? Or he said, well, so who's the boss around here? And I looked at him like, well, you know it's me. I'm like, what's up? What's going on? You know? Because I already knew he'd lost it at her. So I already knew, and I already said to everyone, just be prepared. He's going to come in. He's going to say some things. Because if he's lost it at her, he's going to probably lose it in the shop because he's still ordered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Anyway, and so he comes in and he's like, yeah, so what's the go, you know? Why are you guys being tight asses all of a sudden? And I just had to tell him, you know, like, look, this is the way it is. Unfortunately, I have to, you know, like times have changed now. Everything's going up in price. My oven's changed and you need to understand that. And unfortunately, it is what it is. And he just starts going off and he's like, you know, I'm just going to take my business to the other shop because they'll make it. And I said, so why haven't you? You know, he's like, oh, because you guys make better pizzas. I'm like, okay, we make better pizzas. So what do you want me to do about that, mate? I'm like, the reality is you're trying to change my recipe. I'm trying to tell you that this is the way the oven cooks for that pizza. I can't do that pizza anymore for you. If you
Yeah.
want me to do that pizza, I have to just implement that little bit of a charge and your extra toppings and whatnot because it changes everything. And yeah, he started going off for me, and I just said, look, mate, just get the fuck out of my shop.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to see your face, mate. Like, I've tried being
Yeah.
fair to you, but enough's enough now. People are dining in, and you're ruining it for them.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I
Yeah.
said, just get out of my shop, mate. And he's like, I'm just gonna go to Romsey, mate. And I'm like, mate, do what you want. I'm like, go to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And it just makes you think that, you know what, like a year and a half of, him being loyal to us and us being loyal to him, and we just try and make it work in a certain way. And the same deal, like word quickly got around, and, that story got back to us straight away. I'm like, well, I knew he was going to say stuff. You
Of
know what I mean?
course, but that just
Um,
goes to show that he didn't appreciate what you were doing for him behind the scenes. Like
yeah, that's it.
you
Yeah.
were doing the extra thick dough, turning your oven down, cooking the pizza longer or
Yeah.
whatever, like extra
Yeah.
toppings, all that sort of stuff
Yeah.
for a year and a half. And
Yeah.
when you actually ended up telling him what you were doing for him, he just didn't appreciate it. Like,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's sad. You know what I mean? That's really sad to hear.
Yeah, and that's the thing about, like the customers, like a lot of them, they'll probably only heard that side of the story. Oh, that Stefan guy is such a tight ass. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, put his prices up on everything, and, they don't see that side of it. Um, but
Yeah.
yes. All right, so I'll pass over to you now if you want to have a quick story to tell.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm sure, like you, there's plenty of bad customer experiences of stories I could tell. But one in particular that sticks out to me is, and this isn't so much about our pizza. It's more just an experience with the customer where we'd only sort of recently moved to our new location. So where we used to be was smaller. We outgrew the place, moved to a new shop. Basically, that's a quick rundown of what happened. And we're, still finding our feet in here. And I think we'd been here maybe, I don't know, I would like to say 2 or 3 months. And at the time, there was myself and another pizza maker who I'd trained up. And this particular day, he couldn't work. So I had to do it on my own. And I'm pretty sure from memory, it was like a Sunday or something. And Sundays for us are either busy or they're quiet. This particular one, well, of course, was busy. So, and just to clarify, we don't just do pizza, we do pasta and other kitchen items as well. So it's not like, all the load's on me, you know what I mean? It's like,
Of
it's
course.
shared.
Yeah.
But, look, being on my own, I was obviously doing the stretching, topping, cooking, finishing off the pizza, cut it, whatever. And yeah, this particular night we were fairly busy. Had a table come in, no booking, of course.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they come in, they sit down. I think they were about a table of 4. They sit down, order. They got starters, which came out fairly quickly, maybe like 15 minutes, if that. Like they got arancini, I can't remember, something like that. And then ordered with me, they ordered pizza. Now, as I mentioned, I was really busy and trying my absolute best to keep up with, the demand. We also have Uber Eats. We had our own delivery app. We have, phone calls for orders. Back then there was Deliveroo. There was, everything was going on.
Yeah.
So I had orders coming in from everywhere. And, I mean, look, ideally it's probably always best to try and serve your tables over takeaway. But I'm sort of one to, I just do the orders as they come in. Anyway, he's been waiting a while at this point now. I would say maybe 40 minutes he's been waiting. Like he's had his entree already, and whatever. It's all up it's about 40 minutes. So I guess after they've eaten their entree, whatever, it might have been another 20 minutes, and he starts questioning our staff, like, oh, what's taking so long? This and that, and he's cracking it.
Yeah.
And waiters come up to me and he said, look, this table's starting to get angry at us. They're asking how long. I'm like, well, look, I mean, I understand it's been 40 minutes, but they haven't had an entree. I'm on my own. I'm doing the best I can. I'm busy. And I said, I'm about to start their order now. Well, he goes back there and he says, look, he's about to start your order now. Well, he didn't like that answer. So the whole lot of them get up and we're like, no, we're leaving, whatever. So
Yeah.
they all walk out except for him. He comes and comes up to the counter to pay for what they had. And he's losing his shit at like a young waitress. As usual, it has to be a young waitress. I don't know if it makes them feel more masculine to talk, to have a go at a little 16 or 17-year-old waitress instead of, you can see me standing literally right there. You could be a man and talk to me.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Clearly would know I'm the owner.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm there cooking, trying to get these orders done. And I'm hearing how he's talking, and I'm just like, nah, I'm stepping in now. Like, I'm not accepting this. You're not talking to my staff like that.
Yeah.
Don't care who you are and what you do. Go home, leave 1,000 reviews. I don't care. So I turned around, I go, what's your problem, mate? And he's like, you taking too long, blah, 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 blah. He's going off his head. And I said, mate, I go, look, have a look. I go, look how busy we are. And he turns around, he's like, oh, you're not busy now. I said, yeah, but right now it's not busy in here. I go, but when you first came in, you saw it. We were a full restaurant and you had no booking as well. You just came in. I said, I've also got takeaway orders I'm doing. I said, I'm on my own. I'm doing the best I can to try and, get all these orders done in time.
Yeah.
Again, trying to impress every customer we can. But when you're on your own, it's you would know it's so hard when you don't have that help. And unfortunately, that night I didn't have help. And he starts going off at me. Oh, you shouldn't. I remember what he said exactly. Something about stop putting all that money in your pocket and hire someone else to come and help you. and I'm just like, mate, classic. I have got another pizza maker. I go, he called in sick today. I said, if you understand how hard it is in hospitality to find someone that does this style of pizza, it's not just, I can get Joe Blow off the street. You need to be experienced in this style of pizza. And he obviously just didn't want to hear it. And he's going off. And I ended up, losing my shit as well. I swore at him time, just get the fuck out of here. And he's walking off down the street. Sure enough, we get home from work and literally almost every platform you can think of, him and all his family had left one-star reviews, saying stuff, the food may be good, but, we don't know because we never got to try it, waited too long. Going back to it though, I think 40 minutes really, it is long, but at the same time, you've had an entree in that time. It's not that long when it's a busy night and you can see it's a busy night. Do you know what I mean? Like, people go to Melbourne and wait an hour or an hour and a half sometimes for food. They don't complain. But here, I find in Geelong, it happens a lot.
It happens. But that's the thing. Like, I've had, experiences where I've dined out and we didn't get our entree for 45 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that that's a thing to be a comparison to, but it's like there are others out there that are doing things that it's like, well, at least just appreciate that we gave you something and we're working on it. And even just making that contact, like they know that you're understaffed. You know what I mean?
Exactly right. And that's the thing, like you said, I've been out as well to restaurants and waited long times for an entree or a main, but we don't complain about it because we understand. That's
it.
When you understand, you know what's going on, And I at the same time, I understand you get hangry. You know what I mean? You're hungry, you're angry, and you want your food. And look, sometimes people have made that comment like, look, we had to wait a long time, but it was worth it. And you can appreciate that. And you're like, all right, we're going to try and do better. And like negative feedback is also positive feedback. It's to a point. You know what I mean? Like, some people like to bend the truth a little bit to suit their narrative, you know what I mean? And like this guy that went back and all his family went and left these 1-star reviews on every platform.
Yeah, it's just uncalled for.
Kind of, they kind of, it is. They bent the truth a bit. And, look, I was polite in my reply and tried to explain everything I was trying to tell him when he was in here. But he didn't want to listen.
No.
Didn't want to hear my reasoning and just walked out on me while I was talking. And
that's not right.
So, excuse me. But that's one experience I've had that sticks in my mind a lot because I just remember how rude and arrogant he was to our staff. And he's not the first one. not going to be the last one. I've had
Yeah.
so many, and it's always generally men that do it to the, they like to stoop
Yeah,
down to
yeah.
the young waitresses.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
that's
know
it.
what thrill they get out of it, but anyway. Yeah, so that's one story.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
good. Yeah, there'll definitely be time for more stories to come. So
yeah, of
it's
course.
good. But it's good
I
for
mean,
people
look,
to. Sorry.
no, I was going to say if, I didn't say his name, but if he happens to ever hear this, well, look, there's no hard feelings, mate. You're always welcome to come in and have a pizza.
That's it. Yeah, and maybe he
you
can
know,
understand our side.
yeah. Well, look,
Yeah,
it was a long time ago. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think you ever saw him again.
I haven't seen him
No.
again. Well, I don't think I have anyway. You
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of don't forget faces, but look,
yeah,
he might
yeah,
have come in. I just didn't realise, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah, yeah.
All right,
Anyway,
cool. Yeah, I think it was good to just, get a little bit of someone else's perspective on things. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. That was good. So
no, likewise. It was
yeah,
good to hear that
it's
story
good
from
to
you
hear
as
from
well.
other, not in a bad way, but it's good to hear from other restaurants. You can be like, we're all going through it too.
Yeah, of course, we can
So yeah.
sympathise with you.
Yeah, and something to relate to, and hopefully people listening, if you're a business owner, then it's something that hopefully you can relate to and know that you guys aren't the only ones, and it's good to bounce ideas off each other to how to work on things like that, or
Yeah,
if there
exactly
isn't
right.
a possible way to work on it, you just deal with it,
Yeah,
and just
yeah, that's
understand
right.
that that is the industry, and no matter how much passion you put into your product, there's always going to be someone that won't appreciate it. So.
Of course, yeah. And look,
Yeah.
that's another thing we can discuss on another episode.
Yeah.
Talking dough and all that sort of thing. But I was going to say too, like, if you are a restaurant owner out there and listening to this, feel free to DM us if you want to, come on the podcast and share some experiences or a bad customer experience as well, or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
if you're
yeah,
listening and you own a business, or even if you just make pizzas from home, it'll be a good chance for us to get you on. But yeah, it'd be good to share some more stories with others as well. Good to
yeah,
create a little
absolutely.
community that people can relate to, and yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly right.
cool.
Absolutely. And also, don't forget to follow our Instagram and YouTube, Spotify. Just a
Yeah,
reminder. I know we
that's it.
mentioned
Yeah.
it at the start, but just a
Yeah.
quick reminder again. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll sign
All
off
right.
from here. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks Adamo for your time.
No worries.
And
And
we'll
likewise,
wait for the
Stefan.
next.
Absolutely. We'll
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
All right. See you later.
All right. Ciao, ciao.